During a work Zoom on her laptop, I overheard my fiancée whisper, "God, I hope he doesn't actually propose. Imagine being stuck with someone like him forever." Her coworker replied, "Just marry him and divorce later, easy money." They both laughed. I didn't. That night, I canceled everything. This morning, she's been calling nonstop. I was in my home office, reviewing a quarterly audit, when I heard my fiancée, Amelia, laughing in the living room. She was on her laptop, deep in a video conference with her team. I was heading to the kitchen for coffee and walked quietly behind the couch she was on. Her screen was full of the typical Brady Bunch grid of faces from her marketing job. She thought she was on mute. As her manager droned on about engagement metrics, Amelia leaned closer to the screen, whispering to her coworker and best friend Sarah, who was in the adjacent video square. "God, the trip is next month," Amelia whispered, a note of theatrical panic in her voice. "He's been dropping hints for weeks. I really hope he doesn't actually propose. Can you imagine being stuck with someone like him forever?" Sarah, a woman whose personality was as sharp and synthetic as her acrylic nails, didn't miss a beat. She smirked, her eyes gleaming with cynical brilliance. "Please, just marry him and divorce him a year later. It's easy money. You deserve a payout for your time, sweetie." They both snickered, a private joke between predators. I didn't stop walking. I didn't flinch. I continued to the kitchen, poured my coffee, and added a single sugar, my hand as steady as a surgeon's. In that moment, the entire emotional architecture of my life was condemned and slated for demolition. But on the surface, everything was calm. The numbers, you see, were finally in. The audit of our relationship was complete, and it had uncovered catastrophic fraud. Let me be clear. I am not a simp. I'm a forensic accountant. My world is not one of grand passions and spontaneous emotions. It's a world of ledgers, data trails, and the quiet, meticulous search for deception. I don't find villains in dark alleys. I find them in spreadsheets and shell corporations. When I met Amelia 3 years ago, I was looking to diversify my personal portfolio. My career was thriving, but my personal life was an underperforming asset. Amelia was, on the surface, a perfect acquisition. She was beautiful, socially adept, and had a pedigree I lacked. I grew up with a single mom in a small apartment. She grew up in a country club. I saw our relationship as a strategic merger. I would provide financial stability and a steady, reliable presence. In return, she would manage the social and domestic aspects of our lives, creating the balanced, successful partnership I wanted to build. It was a logical, symbiotic arrangement. I was aware of the potential risks: her obsession with appearances, her materialistic friend circle, her casual disregard for budgeting. I didn't ignore these red flags. I logged them. I treated our relationship like a long-term audit. I was willing to make a significant capital investment, covering the lease on our expensive apartment, funding her lifestyle, paying for lavish vacations, to see if the venture would eventually yield the desired returns of loyalty, respect, and genuine partnership. The planned proposal in Paris wasn't a romantic whim. It was the final step in the merger, contingent on a successful audit. For 3 years, I collected data. And for 3 years, the numbers were trending poorly. But that whispered conversation on the Zoom call, that was the smoking gun. It wasn't just a red flag, it was a signed confession of conspiracy to commit fraud. They didn't see me as a partner, they saw me as a piggy bank to be smashed open. My training took over. I didn't feel rage. I felt the cold, thrilling focus of a complex case breaking wide open. The objective was no longer to build a partnership. The objective was to identify all liabilities, mitigate all losses, and execute a flawless, systematic liquidation of the fraudulent enterprise that was my life with Amelia. That night, while she slept soundly, dreaming of her easy money, I went into my office, closed the door, and began the demolition. Update 1. Phase 1 of the operation commenced at 11 p.m. that Thursday night. My first target was the proposal itself. The centerpiece was a custom-designed engagement ring, a 3-carat diamond in a platinum setting, currently sitting in a vault at a high-end jeweler downtown. I had paid the $80,000 deposit, with the final $20,000 payment due the next day upon collection. I logged into my email and composed a polite, formal message to my contact at the jeweler. I informed him that due to unforeseen circumstances, the engagement was off and I would not be completing the purchase. I told him to keep the deposit for his time and trouble, a small price to pay to sever the primary symbol of the fraudulent contract. Next, the trip to Paris. 2 first-class, non-refundable tickets. A suite at the Four Seasons George V. Dinner reservations at a Michelin-starred restaurant. The total cost was just over $30,000, all prepaid on my premium credit card. Canceling was not an option. Liquidating, however, was. I logged into the airline's website. I couldn't change the name on my ticket, but I could change the name of the second passenger for a small fee. I deleted Amelia and typed in the name of my best friend Mark, a guy who had been quietly skeptical of Amelia from day one. I did the same with the hotel reservation. The romantic getaway for 2 had just been reclassified as a long overdue boys' trip. With the major assets secured, I turned to our shared domestic infrastructure. We lived in a beautiful apartment that I leased, a fact she conveniently omitted when complaining to her friends about my boring taste in furniture. Her name was not on the lease. At 1 a.m., I began a meticulous inventory. I went room by room, armed with my phone, photographing and digitally cataloging every single item. I created 2 lists, assets mine and liabilities hers. My list was extensive. The furniture, the television, the kitchen appliances, the art on the walls. Her list was mostly clothing, shoes, makeup, and decorative pillows. It was the inventory of a guest, not a partner. This process took 3 hours. It was crucial. This wasn't about being petty. It was about creating an unbreachable legal firewall. When the time came, there would be no debate over who owned what. The data would speak for itself. Finally, I turned to the finances. I logged into my bank accounts and opened a new primary checking account. I rerouted my multi-6-figure direct deposit to the new account. I then went through every credit card account. Amelia was an authorized user on my 2 main cards, which had a combined credit limit of $100,000. With 2 clicks, her authorized user status was revoked. Her cards would now be declined. I changed the passwords on our shared Amazon Prime, Netflix, and every other digital service tied to my name. The last thing I did, and perhaps the most important, was to organize my own data. As a forensic accountant, I document everything out of habit. For the past 2 years, I had maintained a detailed spreadsheet tracking all non-essential, discretionary spending related to Amelia. Every $500 handbag, every $300 dinner with Sarah, every weekend spa trip. The total came to a staggering $184,000. It was an itemized invoice for the cost of her deception. By 4 a.m., I was done. I had digitally and financially excised her from my life. All that was left was the physical removal. I slept on the couch for 3 hours. The next morning, I was up before her. I made coffee, and when she came into the kitchen, I acted as if nothing was wrong. She complained that her head hurt and that she had another pointless team-building Zoom call that afternoon. "That sounds tough," I said, handing her a mug of coffee. The look of utter normalcy on my face was my greatest weapon. She had no idea she was already a ghost in my machine. Later that day, while she was on her pointless Zoom call, I was on a call of my own with a high-end moving company that specialized in discreet executive relocations. I booked a 4-man crew for the following day. Their instructions were precise. They would arrive, and I would give them an itemized list. They were to pack and move only the items on that list. I also booked a climate-controlled storage unit for 1 month under her name. The trap was set. The system was purged. Now, all I had to do was wait for the liability to realize she had been written off. Update 2. The first signs of system failure began for Amelia on Friday afternoon. I was at work, a convenient excuse that had served her well for years. In reality, I was in a conference room at my lawyer's office, finalizing our strategy. Around 1 p.m., I received a text from her. "Hey, my card just got declined at Saks." "So weird. Can you check on it?" I didn't reply. An hour later, another text. "Seriously, what is going on? I tried the other card at lunch and it was declined too. It's really embarrassing. Call me." I ignored it. The calls started shortly after. Each one went to voicemail. I watched them stack up on my screen with a feeling of detached, clinical satisfaction. Each missed call was a data point confirming the success of the firewall. When I got home that evening, the movers had already come and gone. The apartment was starkly different. The living room was empty except for the couch and television. The kitchen was missing the high-end espresso machine and knife set. Our bedroom closet was half empty, a gaping void where my clothes used to be. I had moved my own essentials to the spare bedroom, which was now my command center. Amelia was sitting on the floor in the middle of the living room, a look of pure, uncomprehending panic on her face. "What is this?" she whispered. "What did you do?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't show any emotion. I simply placed a single key and a folded piece of paper on the empty mantel. "Our relationship is over, Amelia," I said, my voice as flat as a balance sheet. "I have packed all of your belongings. They are in a storage unit. That is the key. The address and the contract are on that paper. I have paid for 1 month. After that, it is your responsibility. I would like you to be out of my apartment by Sunday evening." She just stared at me. "You're breaking up with me? Just like that? Over a declined credit card?" "No," I said calmly. "I'm terminating our arrangement based on the discovery of gross misconduct and a conspiracy to commit fraud." The color drained from her face. "What are you talking about? Fraud?" "The Zoom call, Amelia," I said, letting the words land with precision. "The one where you and Sarah discussed the financial benefits of marrying me and then divorcing me for the easy money. I'm an accountant, remember? I tend to notice when someone is planning to embezzle my entire future." The panic in her eyes turned to pure, unadulterated terror. She had been caught, utterly and completely. She started to cry, the practiced, theatrical tears that had worked so well in the past. "It was a joke," she sobbed. "A stupid, silly joke." She didn't mean it. "The problem with jokes, Amelia," I said, turning to walk to my new room, "is that they are only funny when both parties are in on them. You have 48 hours. The next phase of her panic was predictable. She called Sarah. I could hear her screaming into her phone from the other room. Sarah, in her infinite wisdom, apparently advised her to go on the offensive. This was their critical error. They fundamentally misunderstood the nature of the man they were dealing with. They thought I was a jilted lover. They failed to realize I was a counterintelligence agent in my own life. On Monday morning, I got a call from my firm's head of human resources. An anonymous but highly detailed complaint had been filed against me with the firm's ethics committee. It accused me of creating a hostile work environment, of emotional instability, and most damagingly, of using company software and time for personal financial management, a serious breach of client confidentiality protocols. It was a well-crafted attack designed to cripple my career. When I walked into the HR meeting, the atmosphere was tense. 2 senior partners and the head of legal were there. They looked grave. They presented me with the anonymous email. I read it, then looked up at them. "I was expecting this," I said calmly. I opened my briefcase and produced a file. "This is my personal compliance journal," I explained. "As you know, our firm encourages us to keep meticulous records. This journal documents every hour of my work, cross-referenced with my personal calendar for the past 18 months. It demonstrates that no company time was ever used for personal matters." I then produced another file. "These are the complete financial records of my relationship with the likely author of that email, my ex-fiancée Amelia. As you can see, I have been the sole source of funding for her lifestyle." This established a motive. Finally, I placed a small digital audio recorder on the table. "And this," I said, "is a complete audio recording of the conversation that precipitated our breakup. It features my ex-fiancée and her coworker, Sarah, who works at a rival firm, conspiring to defraud me through marriage. More importantly, it is the source of the false allegations they are now making to damage my professional reputation." I pressed play. The room was silent as Amelia and Sarah's careless, cruel laughter filled the air. When it was over, the head of legal picked up the recorder as if it were a venomous snake. The entire mood in the room shifted from suspicion of me to absolute fury on my behalf. This was no longer a domestic dispute. This was an attack on the firm. The senior partner looked at me. "What do you want us to do?" he asked. I smiled. "I want you to unleash the hounds," I said. Final update. It has been 2 months since the day my world was supposed to end. Instead, it was reborn. The hounds, as it turned out, were magnificent. My firm's legal department is the stuff of corporate nightmares. A team of sharks who live for this kind of fight. They didn't see a messy breakup. They saw a coordinated corporate attack originating from a rival firm. Within 24 hours, a devastatingly formal cease and desist letter was sent from our legal team to both Amelia and Sarah. It was a work of art, accusing them of defamation, conspiracy to commit fraud, and tortious interference with business. It explicitly mentioned the audio recording as evidence and stated that the firm was considering a multi-million-dollar lawsuit for damages to my reputation and, by extension, the firm's. The letter was also sent to the CEO and head of HR at Sarah's marketing company. The consequences were immediate and brutal. An internal investigation was launched. Faced with a clear audio recording of her advising a friend to commit marriage fraud and then participating in a defamatory attack on another company, Sarah was fired for gross misconduct and violating their corporate code of ethics. Her career in that industry is likely over. Her enabling of Amelia had cost her everything. Amelia, of course, was left completely exposed. Her best friend and co-conspirator was gone. She had no job, no money, and was now facing the threat of a lawsuit from a corporate behemoth she could never hope to fight. She had to hire a lawyer who promptly told her to stop all contact and pray that we didn't actually sue. She was forced to move out of the apartment by that Sunday deadline. I heard through the grapevine that she had to call her parents to come get her from the city. They arrived with a U-Haul to pack up her storage unit and take her back to her small hometown. The glamorous city lifestyle she had built on my back was officially over. The most satisfying part of the entire affair came about a month ago. The wedding venue for Paris, the Four Seasons, had a strict cancellation policy. But because I had merely changed the name on the reservation and kept the booking, there was no issue. So last month, while Amelia was likely unpacking her designer clothes in her childhood bedroom, I was in Paris with my friend Mark. We didn't stay in the romantic suite. I had the hotel change it to a 2-bedroom. We drank expensive wine, ate incredible food, and went to the Louvre. On the night I was supposed to have proposed, I stood on the balcony of our hotel, looking out at the lights of the city. I felt a profound sense of peace, the quiet satisfaction of a complex audit successfully concluded. I did something I rarely do. I posted a photo on my social media, which I made public for exactly 1 hour. It was a picture of a spreadsheet on my laptop screen. The spreadsheet was my itemized list of all the money I had spent on Amelia, with the grand total at the bottom. In the background, out of focus, was the Eiffel Tower. My caption was simple: just finished a 3-year audit, identified and wrote off a significant liability. The books are finally balanced. I then made my account private again. I have no doubt the message was delivered. This morning, her mother called me. I hadn't blocked her number, and my curiosity got the better of me. She was crying. She said Amelia was a wreck, that she wasn't eating, that her life was ruined. She begged me to call off the lawyers, to show some compassion. I let her finish. Then I replied in the calm, measured tone of an auditor delivering his final report. Compassion is reserved for those who make mistakes, I said. Amelia didn't make a mistake. She made a calculated business decision. The problem for her is that I was simply the better accountant. I hung up the phone and blocked the number. The case is closed, the books are balanced, and for the first time in a long time, all my assets are performing exactly as they should. During couples game night, she said, I rate our relationship 2-10, the money makes it a 6. I said, mine's a 0, then showed everyone her dating app still active. When she tried to grab my phone to delete the evidence. Writing this from my buddy's couch. Been crashing here since last Friday night. Almost a week now. Need to get this all down while it's still fresh because honestly, the whole thing still feels surreal. I'm 36. Been with Jessica for 3 years, lived together for the last 1.5 years. No marriage, thank God. My buddy Mike always said never move in without a ring, but I didn't listen. Turns out Mike was right about a lot of things. Let me give you some context because this didn't just come out of nowhere. Well, it kind of did, but there were signs I was ignoring. Jessica and I met through mutual friends. She was fun, spontaneous, always up for trying new things. I liked that about her. I'd just gotten out of a relationship where everything was planned and boring, so Jessica felt like fresh air. Early on, money wasn't really discussed. We'd split dinners, trade off on dates, normal stuff. I make decent money in tech sales, nothing crazy but comfortable. She worked in event planning, made okay money but complained about it constantly. About 6 months in, things shifted. She moved to a new apartment, bigger place, higher rent. Started mentioning how tight money was. I'd pick up dinner more often. No big deal, right? Relationships aren't about keeping score. Then her car broke down. Needed a new transmission. $3,000. She didn't have it. Could I help? I did. She'd pay me back when her tax return came. It never came up again. Her birthday, I got her a weekend trip to this resort she'd been talking about. Cost me about $1,500 for the hotel, nice dinners, the works. She loved it. Posted photos all over social media. Her gift to me 2 months later, for my birthday? A card and a 6-pack of beer I didn't even like. I'm not saying relationships are transactional, but there's gotta be some balance, you know? I started noticing the pattern. Anytime money came up, I was covering it. Her phone bill got behind. Could I loan her $200? Her credit card had a big payment due. Could I spot her $400? Always loans. Never gifts. The funny thing about loans, she never paid them back. I brought it up once, carefully. Said I was happy to help, but wanted to make sure we were on the same page about finances. She got defensive. Said she didn't realize I was keeping track of every dollar like some accountant. Made me feel like the bad guy for even mentioning it, so I stopped mentioning it. That was my first mistake. Not setting boundaries early. When we moved in together last year, she suggested her lease was ending, and wouldn't it be nice to live together? Save money? I had a 2-bedroom place I was renting. Sure, I said. She could move in. We'd split rent and utilities down the middle, except that's not what happened. First month, she was short on rent. Work had been slow. Next month, same thing. Third month, she just stopped offering. When I brought it up, she said she was basically paying for groceries and household stuff. Wasn't that the same thing? It wasn't. I checked. I was still buying most of the groceries too, but the apartment was in my name only. I'd signed the lease before she moved in, so if rent didn't get paid, that was on me. She knew that. I was paying probably 80% of our living expenses. She'd throw in for pizza here and there, buy some groceries occasionally, but the major stuff, all me. And here's the thing, I let it happen. I didn't want to be the guy who nitpicks about money. Didn't want to seem cheap or controlling, so I just kept paying. But it started wearing on me. I was working my tail off. She was working normal hours but somehow never had money. Where was it going? I didn't know. Didn't feel like I could ask without starting a fight. Then about 2 months ago, things got weirder. She was on her phone constantly. Nothing new, everyone is. But it was different. Secretive. She'd tilt the screen away when I walked by. Started taking calls in the other room. Her schedule got erratic. Event planning meant evening stuff sometimes, I got that. But she was going out 3-4 nights a week. Coming home at midnight, 1 a.m. Always had explanations. Client meetings, site visits, networking events. I wasn't suspicious of cheating, really. More just felt like we weren't connecting. When she was home, she was distracted. On her phone, barely talking to me. I tried to plan date nights. She was always too tired or had plans with friends. Friends I never met, by the way. She had this whole separate life I wasn't part of. One night about 3 weeks ago, she left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. I wasn't snooping. I walked by, saw the screen was on some dating app. Bumble. She had the website open in her browser. My stomach dropped. I stood there staring at it. Her profile. Active. Online now. Photos I recognized, including ones from the trip I'd paid for. I didn't say anything. Closed the laptop. Walked away. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe it was old and she forgot to delete it. Maybe I was seeing things. All the maybes you tell yourself when you don't want to face reality. But I started paying attention more. Started noticing more. Like how she'd get texts and smile in this specific way. Not the way she smiled at my texts. Different. How she started dressing up more for these evening work events. Full makeup, nice dresses, heels. For client meetings? Maybe, or maybe not. I checked the laptop again a few days later when she was in the shower. Her dating profile was still active. Messages from guys. Recent messages. From that same day, I took photos of the screen with my phone. Don't know why. Evidence, I guess. Part of me still didn't want to believe it. The photos came out clear enough. Her profile picture, the message previews, timestamps all visible. I thought about confronting her, planned out what I'd say. But every time I tried, she'd do something nice. Make dinner, be affectionate, act like everything was fine, and I'd back down. Looking back, I was being a coward. Scared to rock the boat, scared to be alone again. Scared to admit I'd wasted 3 years on someone who was using me. Then last Friday happened. Game night. Our friends Dave and Nicole host a couples game night once a month. It's usually me, Jessica, Dave, Nicole, Mike, and his girlfriend Carla, and sometimes 1 or 2 other couples. We play board games, drink, order food. It's always a good time. I almost canceled. Didn't feel up to pretending everything was great. But Jessica wanted to go. Said we never did anything fun anymore. The irony. We showed up around 7. Everyone was already there. Dave had set up Pandemic on the table. Nicole was making cocktails. Normal Friday night. Jessica immediately went to get a drink, started chatting with Nicole and Carla. I grabbed a beer, sat down with Dave and Mike. "How's it going, man?" Mike asked. He's known me since college, knows when something's off. "It's good," I lied. He gave me a look. "We'd talk later," that look said. We played Pandemic for a while. Lost pretty badly. Jessica barely participated. She was distracted, barely paying attention. When it was her turn, someone had to tell her twice. Dave noticed. "Jessica, you with us?" "Sorry, work stuff." She put the phone away. 10 minutes later, it was out again. We switched to Cards Against Humanity after Pandemic. More drinks flowing. Everyone getting louder, more relaxed. Jessica seemed annoyed we were playing KH. Said it was juvenile. This from someone who laughed at it every other time we'd played. Around 10, Nicole suggested we play this couples question game she'd found. Like the Newlywed Game, but with random questions. Everyone rates things about their relationship, you compare answers, whoever's closest gets points. Jessica perked up at this, finally interested. Nicole handed out little whiteboards and markers. First few questions were soft. Rate your communication 1 to 10. Rate your trust 1 to 10. Everyone gave decent scores. Some people were more aligned than others. Lots of laughing when answers didn't match. Then Nicole read the next question. Rate your overall relationship satisfaction from 1 to 10, with 10 being perfect. I thought about it, honestly thought about it, and I wrote down a 3. Maybe that was generous given everything, but I was trying to be fair. Jessica wrote her answer. We were supposed to reveal at the same time. "Okay," Nicole said. "On 3, 1, 2, 3. Everyone flipped their boards. Mike had put 8, Carla had put 8, they high-fived. Dave had put 7, Nicole had put 9. She smacked his arm playfully. I flipped mine. 3. Jessica flipped hers. 2. The room went quiet. "Whoa," Dave said. Jessica looked at my board, then at me. "A 3? Seriously? You put a 2, I said. "Yeah, but..." She trailed off. Nicole tried to smooth it over. "Hey, it's just a game. Let's move on to the next question." But Mike, bless him, didn't let it go. "Why a 2, Jessica?" She shrugged. "I don't know. We barely spend time together. He's always working. When we do hang out, it's not fun anymore. Everything feels like a chore." I stared at her. "I'm always working? You're out 4 nights a week." "For work," she snapped. "Right? Work." The room was uncomfortable now. Everyone watching this play out. "Let me guess," Jessica said, voice getting louder. "You put a 3 because I don't worship the ground you walk on? Because I'm not grateful enough?" "That's not. You keep score of everything. Every dollar you spend, every favor you do. It's exhausting." My jaw tightened. "I keep score?" "Jessica, when's the last time you paid rent?" Her face flushed. "We talked about this. I buy other stuff. You buy groceries twice a month, and I'm covering 80% of everything else." "Oh, here we go." She turned to the group like they'd back her up. "See what I mean? He's always throwing money in my face." Nicole looked mortified. Dave was staring at his drink. Mike was watching this carefully. "I'm not throwing anything in your face," I said, trying to stay calm. "But you asked why I rated it a 3. That's part of it. I feel like I'm being used." "Used?" Her voice went shrill. "I work. I contribute." "Do you though?" Wrong thing to say. I knew it the second it left my mouth. Jessica stood up. "You know what? Fine. You want me to rate it honestly?" She grabbed the marker, scratched out the 2 on her board, wrote a new number. 0. "There," she said. 0. That's what this relationship is worth to me. Absolutely nothing. The room was dead silent. I felt something crack inside me. Not heartbreak. Something colder. Actually, Jessica said, seeming to realize she had an audience. No wait, I'll be fair. She erased the 0, wrote something else. 2 out of 10 for the relationship itself, she announced. But add 4 points for the money and free rent. That brings it to a 6. There, that's my final answer. She said it like it was funny, like it was a joke. No one laughed. I looked at her, really looked at her, saw clearly for the first time in months what everyone else was probably seeing. Mine's a 0. I said quietly. What? My rating, it's a 0. Actually, it's negative, but 0's the lowest option. I pulled out my phone, opened the Photos app, found the screenshots I'd taken of her laptop. Here's why, I said. Turned the phone to face the room, her Bumble profile, clear as day, active 1 hour ago. Jessica's face went white. That's, she started. I swiped. More screenshots, messages, recent messages, guys asking her out. That's old, she said quickly. I forgot to delete it. I swiped again. Message from 2 days ago. Huh, I said. Old messages from 2 days ago. Weird how that works. You went through my laptop. Her shock was turning to anger. Defense mode. You left it open. I walked by, saw it, took photos because I knew you'd deny it. Jessica lunged for my phone, tried to grab it out of my hand. Delete those. I pulled back. No. Give me your phone right now. She was reaching across the table, knocking over drinks. Mike stood up, got between us. Whoa, hey, calm down, Mike said. He's showing everyone my private messages, Jessica yelled. Your dating app messages, I corrected. While we're living together, while I'm paying your share of rent. Carla's mouth was hanging open. Nicole looked like she wanted to disappear. Dave was just watching like this was a car crash. Jessica turned to Nicole. He's being abusive. He's violating my privacy. You're cheating, I said flatly. Or at least trying to. I haven't done anything. But her voice cracked. The messages say otherwise. Multiple guys, making plans. What was it? Tuesday night, you had that late client meeting? Funny, because there's a message here from someone named Brad saying he had a great time at dinner on Tuesday. Her face confirmed it. It wasn't like that, she said weakly. What was it like? She couldn't answer. I looked around the room. Sorry guys, didn't mean to blow up game night. Don't apologize, Mike said. You didn't do anything wrong. Jessica grabbed her purse. I'm leaving. How? I drove. I'll get an Uber. Perfect. Do that. She stopped at the door. You're in jerk. I'm in jerk? Jessica, you literally just told a room full of people you're only with me for money. Then I showed proof you're on dating apps. But I'm the jerk? She didn't have an answer. Just left. Door slammed behind her. The room was quiet for about 10 seconds. Then Dave said, well, that happened. Nicole rushed over. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I never should have suggested that stupid game. Not your fault, I said. Sat back down. My hands were shaking. Adrenaline. Mike put a hand on my shoulder. You okay? Yeah, actually yeah, I think I am. Carla poured me a drink. Strong one. That was insane. I knew something was off, I said. Been knowing for weeks. Just didn't want to deal with it. She really said 2 out of 10, plus 4 for the money? Dave asked. Yep. That's ice cold. We sat there for a while, rehashing what happened. Mike told me what he'd been wanting to tell me for months. That Jessica seemed shady. That he never trusted her. That multiple times at group hangouts she'd been weirdly flirty with other guys when I wasn't looking. Carla confirmed it. Said Jessica had been super inappropriate with some guy at Dave's birthday party last month. I'd left early for work the next day. Didn't see it. Nicole felt terrible but admitted Jessica had mentioned to her a few months ago she wasn't sure we were going to work out. Nicole thought she meant doubts, not that she was actively shopping around. Dave offered to let me crash at their place if I needed to. Mike offered his couch. I took Mike up on it. Drove home around midnight. Jessica's stuff was there, but she wasn't. Didn't know where she'd gone. Didn't care. I started packing her things, not meanly, just methodically. Clothes, toiletries, random stuff. Put it all in boxes. She came back around 2 a.m., walked in, saw me packing. What are you doing? What's it look like? You can't kick me out. Actually, I can. My name on the lease. You're not a tenant. You're a guest, and you're no longer welcome. This is my home. No, it's my apartment. You never paid rent. You're not on any paperwork. Legally, you have zero claim here. I'd looked it up while packing, made sure I was right. Where am I supposed to go? Call Brad. See if he'll take you in. Nothing happened with Brad. His message said, "You had a great time at dinner Tuesday." That's something, but I don't care anymore. Not my problem. She started crying. "Please, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Those apps didn't mean anything." "Jessica, you told a room full of people you're only with me for money. In front of our friends. You destroyed whatever was left." "I was drunk. I didn't mean it." "You weren't even drunk. And yeah, you did mean it. That's the first honest thing you've said in months." She sat on the couch, crying harder. "I have nowhere to go. It's 2 a.m. There's hotels. I don't have money for a hotel." Of course she didn't. I pulled out my wallet, gave her $200. "Here, that'll cover a few nights. After that, figure it out." This is crazy. Over some stupid apps? It's not about the apps, it's about you using me, about lying, about having one foot out the door while I'm paying for everything. I wasn't using you. Jessica, you rated our relationship a 2 and only brought it to a 6 because of money. Your words. She didn't have a response to that. "I want you out, tonight. Take these boxes. Whatever doesn't fit, you've got until Sunday to get the rest. After that, I'm changing the locks and anything left becomes mine." Legally, since she'd been here over 30 days, I probably should give formal notice. But I was betting she'd leave voluntarily rather than fight it. And I was right. You're being cruel. "I'm being done." She called someone. Whispered conversation. 15 minutes later, a car showed up. She loaded boxes into it, gave me one last look like I was the villain. I closed the door, locked it, found her apartment key on the coffee table where she'd left it, changed the door code anyway since my building had electronic locks. Then I sat down and felt nothing. Not sad, not angry, just tired. Spent the weekend cleaning the apartment. Found some of her stuff I'd missed, packed it up. She texted asking when she could get her things. I said Sunday between 2 and 4, I'd leave boxes by the parking lot entrance. Did exactly that. She picked them up. We didn't see each other. Monday she texted. Long message. She was sorry she'd made mistakes, but so had I. Didn't I think we could work through this? She missed me. Could we talk? I didn't respond. Tuesday, another text. She deleted the apps. She realized what she had. Wanted another chance. Blocked her number. Wednesday, she showed up at my building. Buzzer rang. I didn't answer. Thursday, mutual friend Nicole called. Said Jessica was staying with her. Asking if I'd reconsider. Jessica was a mess. Really regretted everything. I told Nicole I appreciated the call, but no, it was done. I understand, Nicole said. For what it's worth, Dave and I both think you did the right thing. Friday, which is I got a message from Jessica through Instagram, which I hadn't blocked yet. She needed her mail forwarded. Had some packages coming to my address. I told her to file a change of address with the post office. Anything that came to my place, I'd mark returned to sender. She replied saying I was being petty. Blocked her there too. Mike says I handled it perfectly. Dave agrees. Carla told me half the women at her work have been in similar situations, staying with guys who paid for everything while they looked for upgrades. Said I was smart to cut it off fast. I don't feel smart, just feel like I wasted 3 years. But I'm not sad, that's the weird part. I thought I'd be devastated. Instead, I feel lighter, like I was carrying something heavy and finally put it down. My apartment feels more like mine now. I'm not stressed about money, not wondering where she is or what she's doing, not walking on eggshells. I'm sleeping better, eating better. Actually have energy to do things. Went to the gym yesterday for the first time in months. Felt good. Called my brother, told him what happened. He laughed. Said he never liked her anyway. Thought she was fake. Wished he'd said something sooner. Everyone had opinions apparently. No one said anything while we were together. I get it, you don't want to be that person. But now that it's over, the floodgates opened. Stories about things she'd said, ways she'd acted. Red flags everyone saw but stayed quiet about. Mike told me she'd asked him once if he made more money than me. Mike said he shut that down immediately. Didn't tell me at the time because he thought she was just curious. Dave said at one party, Jessica had openly complained to Nicole that I was cheap because I wouldn't buy her a new phone. Her phone was fine. She just wanted the newest one. All these little things adding up. I'm not blameless. I should have had boundaries earlier. Should have split costs better from the start. Should have noticed the dating apps sooner and confronted her then. But I'm done beating myself up about it. She showed me who she was. I finally listened. That game night question was a gift, honestly. Forced everything into the open. No more pretending. The look on her face when she said 2 out of 10 plus 4 for money. Like she thought that was acceptable. Like admitting she was only there for financial support was somehow okay to say out loud. And then trying to grab my phone when I showed the screenshots. That told me everything. Not apologetic, not embarrassed, just angry she got caught. I saw a version of my future where I'd married her, where I'd have been stuck paying alimony, where she'd have taken half my stuff, where I'd have spent years in a dead relationship with someone who saw me as an ATM. Dodged a bullet doesn't cover it. Dodged a missile. Now I'm figuring out next steps. Lease is up in 4 months. Thinking about moving, fresh start somewhere new, maybe a house, build some equity instead of renting. Going to focus on work, maybe travel, do things I couldn't do before because Jessica always needed the money for something else. Mike's girlfriend Carla has a friend she wants to set me up with. I said maybe in a few months. Not ready yet. Need time to just be me for a while. But I'm not opposed to dating eventually. Just going to be smarter about it. Set boundaries early. Split things fairly. Pay attention to actions, not words. And never ever move in with someone without clear financial agreements in writing. Lesson learned. Look and learn. Looking back at that game night, the moment I fled board and saw her too, something crystallized. All the doubt, all the questions, all the wondering if I was wrong, gone. She told me exactly what I was worth to her. 2 out of 10, plus 4 for money. So I showed her exactly what she was worth to me. 0. Fair trade.